Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video on Thready Turtle, where in today's video, it's going to be a little bit more unusual than my normal videos. Today, we will be discussing Bon Jovi albums, worst to best. So, Bon Jovi. Ooh, where to begin? I mean, Bon Jovi has been around for so stinking long. They've been one of the most influential, one of the longest lasting, most consistent rock bands in the world. They've started in a little place down in New Jersey. Bon Jovi, that's where he lived in and grew up all his life, in New Jersey. And then a bunch of his friends got together and they made their first album in 1984, which basically swept the world by storm. And Bon Jovi, I mean, not necessarily, but like later on, it just kind of was their first album. They really didn't blow up for a while. And so today's video, I will be discussing, in my personal opinion, worst to best. And there are 15 Bon Jovi albums that he has made from his first Bon Jovi album all the way to his 2020 album. I don't know when you guys are watching this video, but when I recorded this, his most recent album is 2020. And keep in mind, this is all my personal favorite. It's not worldwide like what everybody's favorite is. I actually didn't do any research. I researched up a bunch of like facts about Bon Jovi, but I didn't look up what albums people like more, just so that I'm not persuaded, because I am going to be sharing my personal favorites and my dislikes. But yeah, so we're just going to start straight off into the first album, which is Burning Bridges. Alright, so at number 15 is Burning Bridges as my least favorite. It's a great album, actually. I will say that it was released in August 21st of 2015. It has 10 songs in it. It's they have a lot of 10-song albums. And the running time is 40 minutes and 27 seconds. And they got some great songs in here. It's more of, I'll say, just like more of a, it's a rock album, but it's got a lot of modern twists to the album, such as like basically all of them. They just more of a modern sound to it. They got some older sounding songs in it and just some original classic Bon Jovi sounds, but they did change a lot in this one. I will say it's more of a, I'd have to say, more of like an experimental album than anything. But they got some great ones in here. So like my personal favorites is We Don't Run. Another good one is Burning Bridges. That one is a fantastic song. I love that one. It's honestly hilarious. And they got other good ones in here, such as Teardrops to the Sea, Saturday Night Gave Me Sunday Morning. But they also have not his favorite ones, which I don't care for that much, such as like Fingerprints, Life is Beautiful. That one's good, but there are definitely other songs that I'd much rather prefer. So that's kind of why I would put this one at my least favorite, because I mean, it got good songs, but nowhere do they even reach my top 50. But I mean, definitely consider this one in the 15th spot. And marked at 14 is These Days. It was released in 1995. It has 12 songs in it, and the running time is 1 hour and 3 minutes. It's got some fantastic songs in it, such as These Days, This Ain't a Love Song. This album is just really good. But it's got a lot of songs that I really don't dislike any of these songs, but I mean, other than These Days, Lie to Me, This Ain't a Love Song, That's What Takes, it really isn't, it isn't particularly as good as some of their other ones. It's a more suggestive, I guess, more suggestive album. It's got some suggestive stuff in it, but I mean, can't really complain about it. It's got 12 songs in it, and I actually have liked out of them. I have 7 songs liked out of them, so, I mean, really not as good as some of the other ones. Again, this is all my opinion, and this album just did not cut it for me. And on slot 13 is Lost Highway. This and New Jersey were really hard to separate because Lost Highway and New Jersey both great albums, but I had to put Lost Highway just a little bit further down because it's just, I struggle listening to this album all the way through. Typically, most albums I can listen all the way through. Lost Highway, it's just, I don't know, the further down it gets, it just kind of gets repetitive and kind of gets a little annoying almost. But it's got some incredible songs in it. It was released in 2007. It has 12 songs in it, and the runtime is 49 minutes and 45 seconds. It's got some great songs such as Lost Highway, Summertime, We Got It Going On, all those great, great, great songs. It starts out strong. It starts out really strong. I will give it to him. But then it just kind of, I don't know, just something about it just kind of drops for me. And it's just like anywhere after We Got It Going On, then it just starts to drop. We Got It Going On is number 5 out of the 12 songs. After that, it just kind of, all of those other ones are good, but it just goes way down for me. And I can listen to the first half strongly, and then it gets a lot harder as I go. It's more of a, it's like half heavy and half just good old rock. Um, it's got like Lost Highway, Summertime, which are both heavier songs. We Got It Going On, which is also heavy. But then it's also just got a lot of slow songs, which like You Want to Make a Memory, Everybody's Broken, I Love This Town. Very more calm, relaxed type of stuff. And it was released on January 1st. I forgot to mention that, first day of 2007. So I was kind of expecting just a little bit more from this album, but it, all in all, it's a great album, but it just a little bit let me down. Alright, so I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Why is New Jersey at number 12 slot? This album, I'm pretty sure, is rated one of the best. I didn't look anything up, but for me personally, it's just a little too much hair metal. It was released in 1988. It has 12 songs in it, and the runtime is 57 minutes and 35 seconds. It's got some great, 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 great songs in it. It was their second or third album released, and I just feel like it's just a little too hair metal for me. And then they got some songs which, like, I would rank out some of my least favorite Bon Jovi songs. That is why I'm putting it so low down. It's got some great ones, but all in all, it's got the most songs out of any Bon Jovi album that I would rank some of the lowest, such as Living in Sin, Ride Cowboy Ride, 99 in the Shade, and Love for Sale. Good songs, I do like them, but I mean, it's just, I don't, yeah, I just had to put him down really low, and that's kind of what cut this album down so stinking low for me. New Jersey, it's a great album, but it's like such as Lay Your Hands on Me, Bad Medicine, Born to Be My Baby. Those are all great songs, but it's just a really, it's too hard for me. I do like hard, and it's not really too hard for me. But I mean, listening to it all the way through, it can be a little challenging. However, it does have one of my all-time favorite Bon Jovi songs, which is Wild as the Wind, and that's what did, because if that one wasn't in this album, I would probably put it a little bit, like, one thing lower. That's just about all I have to say for New Jersey. And clocking in at number 11, we have What About Now, which has 15 songs in it and 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm actually going off the deluxe album. It's a little bit shorter than that. I think it's 12 songs and it's not quite 1 hour. But I put this one at slot 11 because it's got some of my absolute favorite songs in it that Bon Jovi has, such as Because We Can, I'm With You, What About Now, and What's Left of Me. All those are just incredible. I absolutely love those songs. But then it's got some songs that I just feel like they could have done way, 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 way better. Such as Amen, Pictures of You, That's What the Water Made Me, Army of One. They're all good songs, but I feel like he should have done them differently. And it just feels like the album almost gets repetitive after a while. But it's definitely a really good album, and that's why I had to put this up so high. It's got very modern sounds to it, but also still just classic Bon Jovi sounds. But, I mean, all in all, that's what I had to put What About Now at. Alright, so we're now in our top 10, and at number 10 is The Circle. It was an album released in 2009, has 12 songs in it, runtime is 52 minutes and 44 seconds. It's got some incredible songs in it, such as, like, We Weren't Born to Follow, Work for the Working Man. That one's an incredible song. Bullet, which is a surprisingly heavy, heavy, heavy song for Bon Jovi. Thorn in My Side, that one's a really good one. Broken Promised Land. But it's also got some really, 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 really corny songs. In my opinion, aren't as good. Some of them are actually really big, such as We Weren't Beautiful. But I have a hard time listening through that song. And Superman Tonight, it's just really slow, and I feel like it's almost not even worth it to listen through the beginning to get through that song. But it was released also on January 1st of 2009. So I was also kind of expecting a little bit more from them, but it's still a good album. I really don't have too much to say about this album other than it's a good album and it's number 10. Alright, at number 9 we Have a Nice Day. This album was released in 2005, it has 13 songs in it, and it's 53 minutes and 50 seconds. The exact date was January 1st as well. A lot of them are released at the beginning of every year. But yeah, this is actually one of my first albums that I actually marked. I have every single song on this album marked as a favorite. It's a very good, very, very good album, but it's got some in it that vast majority of the album, I would actually place in, like, my middle favorite songs, like, such as, I Am, Last Man Standing. Bells of Freedom is a good one. Complicated is a really good one. Last Cigarette, that one's a little bit lower for me. Story of My Life, that's good. Who Says You Can't Go Home? Have a Nice Day, definitely my favorite one in that album. That one's a really good one. That one's really big too, actually. But this is actually one of the first albums I actually listened to coming out of my, like, basically expanding my Bon Jovi horizon, because I grew up on a mix album, which was, Crossroads. And this album was one of the first ones when I Spotify and stuff and Amazon Music, and basically coming out of MP3 players, I started with Have a Nice Day. Really shouldn't have started with that one, but that one's definitely a good one. It's got some great songs in it. And that's why I had to put it number 9. It's got some heavier sound. It's typically a lot slower. It's not really slower. I don't know, the songs almost just sound a little weak for Bon Jovi. And that's just about all I have to say for this album. Alright, and at number 8, we have 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit. This one was one of the last albums that I actually learned for myself. It was released in 1985. It has 10 songs in it and 47 minutes and 18 seconds. It was released on January 1st as well. It's got some great songs. This is actually their first, like, what Bon Jovi considered to be their first metal album. It's definitely a metal album. It's more so I'm more so put on the hair metal, which is like not quite metal, but it's like not quite hard rock. So it's like in between there. So it's like more on the metal side. Yeah, that's kind of what that means. That was a good clap there too. But it's got some great songs in it, such as "In and Out of Love," "Price of Love," "Only Lonely," "King of the Mountain." All of these songs are good. Um, Really, the only song that I would complain about in this album is "To the Fire," but every other one of these songs, I freaking love every one of these songs. The reason why I put this down so much lower than it is, it basically just had more variety. It all seems really similar because I'll listen to the album all the way through, no problem. But I'm like, wait, which one is this one again? I think it's this one, but oh wait, no, it's not this one. It's this one. It's got a lot of synthesizers in it. It was 1985, so that's when like synthesizers are huge, and every song in the 80 and 85 basically had synthesizers. Uh, but it's a great album. I can't really think about too much more to say about this. Alright, and at number 7, we have 2020. It was an album released in 2020. It has 10 songs, and it's 48 minutes and 13 seconds. It was released on October 2nd, so this one was an awkward release date. Basically, what this album is about, I'll give you a short summary. It's basically about 2020 with COVID, 2019, all that happened with COVID, and all that crap in the world right now. Um, and it tries to give hope. It gives hope, and it's like, don't give up, and basically that's what it's like. It's a brilliantly crafted album. Actually, it's beautifully written, but it's not so much my type of style, such as "Let It Rain," "Blood in the Water," "Brother in Arms." But it's definitely a really, 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 really good album. It's got some great songs such as "Limitless," "Do What You Can," "American Reckoning," "Story of Love," which is one of my favorite songs by Bon Jovi. Killer guitar solo in it. It's definitely, you can definitely tell it's modern, and by now you can tell that he's getting a lot older in this. You can tell that he's getting older in like some of his albums released in 2013, but I mean, you definitely can start hearing it now. But he's actually, this album kind of changed him up a little bit. He changed it. He did a bunch of different stuff in this album. It's very experimental, actually. What I would consider experimental. I'm not sure if he did or not, but it's a bunch of difficult songs that he wrote, such as "Unbroken." He actually really struggled to make "Unbroken" because it talks about the soldier basically going into battle and coming back, because he was never ever he was never part of a war or anything, so he never went into war, and so it was difficult for him to write the song, but he wrote it amazingly, and that's kind of what that's what, oh my word, I cannot talk today, man, I'm struggling. But that's kind of what that's about, and it's just got a lot of good songs in it, and that's why I had to put this at this slot. And clocking in at number 6, we have Bon Jovi, his first album, which was released in 1984. It has 9 songs in it, and it's 38 minutes and 33 seconds. It was released on January 1st again. And it's got, oh, this album is just, I also have every single one of these songs marked as, I loved it. I love it. It's got Runaways in it, Roulette, which is one of the most underrated songs in my opinion by Bon Jovi. It's so, so, so good. Shot Through the Heart, which is also a really good one. It's not the same thing as You Give Love a Bad Name. It's different. But then after Shot Through the Heart, it just kind of gets repetitive. It almost, like, everything seems similar. Love Lies, Breakout, Burning for Love, Come Back, Get Ready. All those just kind of seem a little too similar. And this is also a hair metal album. It's a good one. A lot of synthesizers in it, synth pianos, a lot of good guitar solos as well. But it's a great album. That's just about all I have to say about that one. All right, we are now officially in our top 5 and some of the best Bon Jovi albums ever, in my opinion. But this one, clocking in at number 5, is Bounce. It was an album released in 2002. On January 1st? Yep, January 1st. It has 12 songs in it, and it's 49 minutes and 6 seconds. This one is definitely just all-out classic Bon Jovi sounding. No real modern anything really in it. Except for, I'd have to say the only one would be Every Day. But other than that, it's all just good old classic Bon Jovi sound. And it's got, I have to say my least favorite in this album is The Distance. But every other one of these songs, every single one of these songs is just an incredibly written song. Undivided, Every Day, Joey, Misunderstood, all about loving you, Hook Me Up, Right Side of Wrong. It's all really good. I like them all, but basically the genre of this one is quite polar opposite, actually. One song you got Hook Me Up, and then right after that one you have Right Side of Wrong. Hook Me Up is basically a really, really, really heavy rock song. It's borderline metal almost. And then you got Right Side of Wrong, which is basically mostly played on piano. It's very soothing. It's very, very, very slow. And this album is just very up and down, up and down. And for a while, this was my favorite album, but it quickly dropped down into my top 5, which is my 5th slot. But yeah, that's Bounce by Bon Jovi. And clocking in at number 4, we have Keep the Faith, which was released in 1992. It has 12 songs and it's 1 hour and 5 minutes. They're a lot longer in this album. I think the shortest one is, yeah, the shortest one is 3 minutes and 6 seconds, but I mean all the other ones are like 4 or 5 minutes, and it's got a lot of fantastic songs such as Keep the Faith, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, In These Arms, Bed of Roses. And my personal favorite in that album, If I Was Your Mother, that one is definitely a metal song. It's a really good one. This album is mostly, this was like his phase where he was coming out of his hair metal and just going into more just rock. I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, that's a heavy one. If I Was Your Mother, Keep the Faith, that one's heavy. That one's actually very bass influenced, which is really good. I like that one for the bass. But it's got some which aren't quite as good, such as Woman in Love, and a little bit of Soul. But other than those two, I like every single one in this album. It's all just fantastic. And earlier how I was saying that it is a very long album, it's got a lot of long songs in it. It does have his longest song in it, which is Dry Country, which is 9 minutes and 52 seconds. It's a long one, and it's got like I think 2 guitar solos in it. That is this album. It's really good. It's got his big album, big song, which is Keep the Faith, and I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. That one's big, but that one's not quite as big. Bed of Roses. That one was kind of their hit off in this album. But yeah, that's just about all I have to say for that album. Alright, we are now in our top 3. And at the 3rd slot is Slippery When Wet. It was their second album released in 1986. It has 10 songs in it, and it is 43 minutes and 45 seconds. Sorry about that. And it was released on August 16th, so not a January 1st album. But it's got some, it's just some of the best songs. This album was their breakout album. This album was one that, whoosh, everybody was like rushing to buy Bon Jovi records and CDs and stuff. But it's got Let It Rock, You Give Love a Bad Name, which was a huge song, and then they got Living on a Prayer, which is their biggest hit of all time. For the longest time, that was my all-time favorite song. It's now gone way down for me. I love the song, but I think it's just a little overrated. It's overrated. They also got Social Disease, which is a very underrated song in the album, really good. Wanted Dead or Alive, which is a really big one as well. Raise Your Hands, Without Love. I Die For You, which is, that one's my favorite in this album. It's It's an incredible synth song with a bunch of great sounds to it. I really like it. Never Say Goodbye, that one is okay. And then Wild in the Streets, Wild in the Streets was their last one. I feel like they shouldn't have ended with that song because I feel like it was just a little weak for me. I feel like they should have ended with like I Die For You, but everything else in the album, incredible. And Crush wins the silver medal for being the second best album for me. It was an album released in the year 2000. It's 12 songs and it's 58 minutes and 20 seconds. It was released on January 1st of 2000, so that's kind of funny actually. But it's got It's My Life, which is that's the really only big, I guess, blow up song in this album. They do have Thank You for Loving Me, which is also really big, which was a really big song for them, but not nearly as big as like It's My Life. Um, but I'd have to say that this album was more so like made to be basically like an oldies sound almost, but very like modern oldies. That's the best way of me putting it. It's a very interesting song. It's a very fun album too. Such as Captain Crash and the Beauty Queen from Mars. That song is absolutely incredible. It's just such a fun song to sing. Say It Isn't So. Just Older, Next 100 Years. All those are just great songs. I Got the Girl. One Wild Night, which is one of my favorite ones. It's a highly suggestive song, which is a little annoying, but it's still a great song. The only song that I'd say that the only song I have to complain about is She's a Mystery. I've never cared for that one. It's alright. I'll listen to it every now and then, but I really would not choose that one. But this album I can listen to over and over and over on repeat. Thank You for Loving Me, one of my favorite songs in this album. But I have to say that my favorite is either Next 100 Years or Two Story Town. Next 100 Years has my absolute, not my favorite guitar solo ever, but it's definitely in my top 3 favorite guitar solos ever. It's like 3 minutes long and it's just like a killer shredding solo. It's so good. And then Two Story Town, I don't know why I love that one. That one's very southern rock. I really don't know why I like so many songs, but I do. I'm really weird with my music sometimes. I'll like some songs and like, because I don't like metal, but some Bon Jovi songs are considered to be metal, and I don't like Metallica, but I like a few of their songs. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't like metal, but I like Kickstart My Heart. So it's definitely weird. Kickstart My Heart, there's a huge like is it really metal? But I would call it metal. It's considered to be metal. I got off to a weird rabbit hole there. But yeah, this album is just really good. I can listen to it over and over and over again. And so that's why Crush is in my number 2 slot. And now either you guys are all very, very, very confused right now, or very like perplexed, or maybe you agree. I don't know. I'm gonna look this up right afterwards and maybe see what people put this song at. Maybe I'll put it in the video. I'm not sure. But definitely favorite album ever. It's got some of my favorite songs by them. When We Were Us, Walls, This House Is Not For Sale, Knockout, Born Again Tomorrow, Roller Coaster, New Year's Day, Devils in the Temple, Scars on This Guitar, God Bless This Mess, Reunion, and Come On Up to Our House. All songs that I put in at least my top 25% Bon Jovi songs. And the only song that I would not like, I don't particularly like, that I put in maybe my top 75%, would be Living with a Ghost. And it does, however, I still hate this to this very day. I'm still super upset. It's got my least favorite Bon Jovi song of all time, Labor of Love. I will very, very, very rarely ever will listen to the song, but I just don't like it. I do not like that song. But Every single one of these songs is incredible. One of the most underrated albums by Bon Jovi ever. I freaking love this. For so long, Walls was my favorite one. And then it was His House Was Not For Sale. Then it was Roller Coaster. Then it was Devils in the Temple. Then Scars on This Guitar. All of these songs are just incredible. I love every one of these songs except for Labor of Love and Somewhat Living with a Ghost. That one's alright. I'll listen to that one when I'm going, but I can listen to this one over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is typically my go-to album. It was released in 2018. 14 songs, 56 minutes, and 18 seconds. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, but it was released on February 23rd of 2018, so this one was a little odd as well. But yeah, definitely a very, very, very underrated album. I definitely think this deserves my #1 spot. This House Not For Sale is my #1. Alright guys, so I hope you did enjoy today's video on me rating the worst to best Bon Jovi albums. If you disagree with me, let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But let me know. Comment down below what your favorite Bon Jovi album is, what your least favorite Bon Jovi album is. I'm like a Bon Jovi head. I love every one of their songs. It's kind of crazy what I do. I know every one of their songs. It's crazy. But definitely a fantastic band. I love every one of their songs. Like I said, almost every one of their songs. And again, this is all my personal opinion. This is not searched up on Google. I'm actually going to do a lot of researching once I'm done with this, see what other people think. But yeah, just let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about it. And I hope you did enjoy today's video. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.